Ecumenism is any interdenominational initiative aimed at greater cooperation among Christian churches. Etymology: the term ecumenical comes from the Latin ecumenicus, a phrase referring to the whole world, meaning literally inhabited, seeking a single church. Ecumenism is the idea of Christian unity among differing branches of the religious community, and that there should be a single church structure, sharing a common set of beliefs. Ecumenism is separate and distinct from non-denominational Christianity, which seeks no common organizing principle. This specific sense of the word contrasts with interfaith dialogue or interfaith pluralism aimed at unity or cooperation among diverse religions and referring to a worldwide religious unity by the advocacy of a greater sense of shared spirituality. The word is derived from Greek omikron kappa omikron upsilon mu eta, which means the whole inhabited world, and was historically used with specific reference to the Roman Empire. The ecumenical vision comprises both the search for the visible unity of the Church and the whole inhabited earth, as the concern of all Christians. In Christianity, the qualification ecumenical is originally used in terms such as ecumenical council and ecumenical patriarch, in the meaning of pertaining to the totality of the larger church rather than being restricted to one of its constituent churches or dioceses. Used in this original sense, the term carries no connotation of reuniting the historically separated Christian denominations. Christian ecumenism and interfaith pluralism. Ecumenism is distinguished from and should not be misused to mean interfaith pluralism. The interfaith movement strives for greater mutual respect, toleration, and cooperation among the world religions. Interfaith dialogue between representatives of diverse faiths does not necessarily intend reconciling their adherents into full, organic unity with one another, but simply to promote better relations. For some Catholics it may, but not always, have the goal of reconciling all who profess Christian faith to bring them into a single, visible organization, i.e., through union with the Roman Catholic Church. For some Protestants, spiritual unity, and often unity on the Church's teachings on central issues, suffices. According to Lutheran theologian Edmund Schlink, most important in Christian ecumenism is that people focus primarily on Christ, not on separate church organizations. In Schlink's book Ökumenische Dogmatik, he says Christians who see the risen Christ at work in the lives of various Christians or in diverse churches realize that the unity of Christ's church has never been lost, but has instead been distorted and obscured by different historical experiences and by spiritual myopia. Both are overcome in renewed faith in Christ. Included in that is responding to his admonition to be one in him and love one another as a witness to the world. The result of mutual recognition would be a discernible worldwide fellowship, organized in a historically new way. An example of ecumenism is the invention of and growing usage of the Christian flag, which was designed to represent all of Christendom. The flag has a white field, with a red Latin cross inside a blue canton. Ecumenical movement. One understanding of the ecumenical movement is that it came from the Roman Catholic Church's attempts to reconcile with Christians who had become separated over theological issues. Others see the 1910 World Missionary Conference as the birthplace of the ecumenical movement. Others yet point to the 1920 encyclical of the Eastern Orthodox Ecumenical Patriarch Germanus of Constantinople, to the Churches of Christ Everywhere, that suggested a fellowship of churches, similar to the League of Nations. Nathan Soderblom, Archbishop of Uppsala, the head of the Lutheran Church in Sweden, is known as the architect of the ecumenical movement of the 20th century. During the First World War, he called on all Christian leaders to work for peace and justice. His leadership of the Christian life and work movement in the 1920s has led him to be recognized as one of the principal founders of the ecumenical movement. His was instrumental in chairing the World Conference of Life and Work in Stockholm, in 1925. At the Stockholm Conference in 1925, the culminating event in Soderblom's ecumenical work, the Anglican, Protestant, and Orthodox Christians were all present and participating, with the exception of the Catholic Church, much regretted absence. He was a close friend of the English ecumenist George Bell. In 1930 was one of the recipients of the Nobel Prize, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, for the cooperation between Christian church communities brings peace, and the first clergyman to receive this prize. After World War I, which had brought much devastation to many people, the Church became a source of hope to those in need. In 1948, the first meeting of the World Council of Churches took place, despite the fact that the meeting had been postponed due to World War II. The council took place in Amsterdam with the theme of man's disorder and God's design. The focus of the Church and the council following the gathering was on the damage created by the Second World War. The council and the movement went forward to continue the efforts of unifying the Church globally around the idea of helping all those in need, whether it be a physical, emotional, or spiritual need. The movement led to an understanding amongst the churches that, despite difference, they could join together to be an element of great change in the world, to be an agent of hope and peace amongst the chaos and destruction that humans seem to create. More importantly, the council and the movement lead to not only ecumenism but to the forming of councils amongst the denominations that connected churches across continental lines. Today, the World Council of Churches sees its role as sharing the legacy of the One Ecumenical Movement and the responsibility to keep it alive, and acting as a trustee for the inner coherence of the movement.